Bon, bienvenue, welcome, bienvenidos todos y todas to this first PDGA Europe Women's Summit. We have been working hard this year to try to boost a bit the female disc golf. You know that we have basically various tools. First, we have the board of directors. We have 3 women in the board of directors right now. We also have the PDGA Women Committee, where Terhy Kytö from Finland is part of the global board of directors, but she's also in the PDGA Women's Committee all over the world. Sofia Pereira, she is part of the PDGA Europe board of directors, and she's also the head of PDGA Europe Women. We are still constituting that committee, but it will be something. And you know that we have 3 women in the PDGA Europe Women's Committee. We also have a Facebook group called PDGA Europe Women, and maybe you are part of that, and you are integrated, and we're trying to communicate. And we are trying to make new activities like this one. We already had a women's summit in Pro Worlds, where we counted on Hoeniger and Kristin and podcasts and all those things.
So first of all, I want to welcome all of you for being here. I think this is a historical moment a little bit, and I'm super, super happy to see that we have 19 women competing tomorrow in the women's event. And I want to thank everybody that came, and plus everybody that is here, that is going to be here for the summit, that came in early, like the board of directors and the staff from PDGA Europe and from PDGA Global, Doug and Brian and Noemi, who came all the way from across the pond from the States to be here for the event and then stay for the summit. The number one person that I think that we all have to give a big hand to is Calixto. Calixto has been amazing. It's what he's done and thought about, and I mean, we've been meeting probably at least twice a week, very quickly, huddling in on Slack, and it's always so positive and so good to work with him. And when we had the idea last year to do this, I was a little bit afraid of making sure that there's support and that we all do it. And so not only have we received support from the board and from PDGA Europe, but Calixto has just done an awesome job making it all happen. Not only this, but the summit afterwards. So thank you, Calixto. From my perspective, and we discussed a lot of details in Finland, and if you see the 90-minute podcast that has been posted already in PDGA Europe, we went through a lot of points. It felt like we were scratching at the iceberg, but it also felt that we tend to, for me, I want to see things getting done. What do I want to see? A lot of PDGA events like this, as many as possible all over Europe, where women can participate, where at all ages, from kids to well into, I mean, I'm 60 and I want to feel young at these events. So, and that's what I think we can help. And I would like, at some point today while we talk, that you guys talk about what you're doing in Vichy in July a little bit, okay? Because I think that is awesome. So, besides that, and the fact that I'm here to support you, to try and do the best I can to make sure that there's as many events and as many women that are not just joining PDGA because we want the numbers, but that are interested in joining PDGA because they are interested in disc golf and they want to grow the sport, to see their ratings, to keep track. Like, the PDGA offers you so much more than just you can Google your name and your PDGA number and you see all the events that you've gone to, how you did. So it's actually a very, very good thing. So that's what I can do, and that's what I'd like to do. I want to also thank Terhy for being here from PDGA Global. I hope this coming year to be able to work a little bit more with Global too, because I think we have a lot to learn. We're just starting something in Europe. So we have a lot to learn. And I think that you and Global can help a lot. And I also want to thank, and this is a big thank you, Doug, which I'm going to call up to speak. Doug, at the beginning we were thinking of making it a mixed event. And Doug said, why don't you make it a women's only event? And I'm so glad we did. And I'd like you to come up. It's an honor to have you here.
Calixto's seat is a tough one to fill. He's very, very talented. Yeah, I thank you for inviting me up, and thank you all for attending. Many of you may not know this, but the very first event I was ever the tournament director of was the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships in Denver, Colorado, and we started it in 2011. And it runs now every other year. I've since moved on and do different things, but I can remember the impetus behind that tournament being my wife and my youngest daughter used to be Paige Bjerkaas. Now she's Paige Shu. She won the 2018 World Championship. We're very proud of that, so I try to say that as often as I can. But she takes after her mama. I can remember we would go to tournaments in Denver, Colorado, which had a very robust disc golf scene. And my wife and my daughter would be maybe one of 4 or 5 ladies at the tournament. And everyone else would be a male. And they'd come back and Paige would end up playing with 3 MA3 players, and Noemi would randomly be playing with certain age-protected division males. And it was just very, very awkward at times to always have to be playing and being stuck into a division. And that's why in Denver, Colorado, we started the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championship. And I am 100% committed to the fact that just like junior tournaments are the best thing, I believe, for juniors to play in, I think women's tournaments are the same way. When you can go and play with folks that you are, and we're all comfortable with all people, but, when you're playing in a women's event, from my perspective and the feedback that I've gotten from different members all over the organization, that is a big win for women's disc golf. So I really am happy that this event has started, and I told Sofia that the very first Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championship started out very small, and then it grew and it grew and it grew. And there were several disc golfers in Denver, Colorado, that was the tournament they played every year, because that's the one they wanted to play. That's the one where they felt comfortable, and it was, I believe, fairly successful. And I'm very, very proud to announce that the Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championship that just occurred was TD'd by a female for the first time. So I also think, yes, I also think that we are a very male-dominant sport, which is unfortunate. I'm very envious that the board of directors at PDGA Europe has 3 females on it. We have 1, and thank you, Terhy, for being here. I think that women don't just need more opportunities in disc golf to play, but they need more opportunities to lead and take roles in disc golf. You can make a career out of disc golf not just by being, Paul Macbeth or Kristen Lott. You can make a career in disc golf by working for a disc golf company, or being a mover and a shaker in a club, or working in any part of the sport. So I really encourage, and I hope that we as a sport start to get more women, not just as top players and not just playing in all of the different divisions, but also volunteering, working, having leadership roles. So thanks again for attending, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut from here on out, because the important people to talk are not me. So, but on behalf of the PDGA, also thank you very much for being members of the PDGA. We really appreciate it, and it may not always seem like it, but we are really working hard to improve the entire organization, especially in this case, in the way that women are able to participate. So thank you very much.
And now, Terhy, Board of Directors of PDGA Global and part of the Women's Committee.
Thank you all for coming here to this event. I feel very honored that I can be part of it. And I think that we always need a start, and this is a good one for that. I also want to inspire everyone to take role in their respective countries and their areas to develop the things that we can do together with women. I started to play 2014, and ever since I have been so happy to have good ladies around me. And we have, together with one of my friends, we started to organize women's events in Finland. And we have even got a league for women that was running the whole summer. And actually, I have met Nina for the first time when I organized a women's training weekend. And we gathered 10 women together. And we spent a weekend training. We got different areas, like we trained potting, we trained drives, and then we played together, but also had good fun together and discussed what we can do. So, like Doug said, we need more women, also the roles that create things and make things happen, gather different ideas around the world. We don't have to invent the wheel many times. We can take good practices from others. And what is important is the consistency. So I really look forward to having this event going on and on, because I'm very sure that next year we will double the participants. Then it goes higher and higher. But we just need to keep on working for the good thing. Thank you, Sofia, for organizing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And about what Terhy was saying, I think it's important. What we've decided is that this particular event, the Women's Festival and the European Women's Month, is every other year. But next year, we are going to celebrate Global Women's Day, and let's try and get as many events as possible on that weekend. It doesn't have to be a women's only event. It has to have women divisions. And that goes into the technical folk at PDGA Global, who are awesome, actually make it like a one worldwide event where you are placed in one global women's event. So that weekend, which is usually mid-September, if I'm not mistaken, we will advertise it a lot. And this particular event, the month and then the festival, will only be in 27. Yeah. Is it in May, the women? It used to be September. Okay, it's changed. It's in May now. Okay, so the women's on Women's Day, I guess, or Mother's Day or something. Women's Day, May 8th.
They're even extending to 2 weeks in a row. They have copied our idea.
Okay, that's good though. That gives some more flexibility. Sorry, so it's in May. So maybe Mimizan will be a women. We'll see. Okay, that said, I think I'd like to open up the forum into questions, suggestions. One of the things that was very clear to me, Calixto, maybe you want to talk a little bit about this. And you guys can imagine, from a global perspective, the cultural differences in sports, in the number of people participating, the age groups that are participating, how many people participate. Do they participate at the top level or recreational level? Like Risto said to me, who was part of the board, said to me, I don't understand what this whole problem is with women. We just have weekends in which it's for couples. And so couples means 2 women, a woman and a man. You come with your son, with your daughter, with your husband. So he doesn't understand this whole, because in Estonia, which actually is one of the highest number of women, percentage of women, it's a recreational thing for everybody. What I'd like so I think what you were saying, Terhy, is so important. We can learn from the cultural differences, and we can learn a little bit how is it working in some places, not in others, and see what we can do in our place. And each family has its issues. And so if we all work locally to grow in our local places, that eventually will trickle to a global thing. So Calixto, would you mind just giving us a little bit of the stats for the European women's?
Let me check out here. Is this? I think it's this one. Here it is. Okay, we have the PDGA female members percentage. The average worldwide is 7.4%. PDGA Europe, the average is 7%. I mean, 7% of the PDGA members are women. The leading countries are smaller countries: Slovakia, 20%, Croatia, Serbia, Ireland, Ukraine are 15-16%, Portugal, 13.3%, Luxembourg, Latvia. Then we have Spain, 12.1%, Estonia, 11%, Italy, Czech Republic, France, 9.9%, Lithuania, Poland, Switzerland, UK, 8.5%. The big countries in terms of disc golf, like Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, they are actually in the bottom part of the list. Sweden is 6%, Finland is 5.9%, Norway is 5.7%. Denmark is the lowest one with 4.3%. So of course the absolute numbers are different because Norway have a lot of players. No, we also have made recently another statistics where we are detailing the. Let me check out snapshots. Names. Here it is, where we have the percentage by country, and we have seen some trends. You have it in PDGA Europe Facebook group. You can discuss about it, and we have seen some like typical trends. For example, UK is an example of a curve that says we have a lot of young girls. The percentage is higher. When you are on your 20s, it starts lowering down. When it comes to your 30s, it's the lowest. It goes low, and then when you are on your 45, 50%, it starts raising at the 60, 70%. It seems to me like it has some relation to, okay, I have other things to do. I got my work, I have kids, I have to take care, and I don't have maybe I don't have the same opportunities as men to simply play my sport. There are other countries, for example, like Finland, where the curve is way flatter. They have a peak on the young girls, and even in the newborn girls, because they want to pick up the number. So there's a spike there because they just pick up the number. But then the percentage is more or less flat. And there's another exceptional case, which is Estonia, which is curious because the highest peak is on the FPO age. So in 20 to 30 years old, they have the peak because they are maybe they are number one in female disc golf, maybe worldwide, no? So we have this peak. So we can see those kind of different distributions, and this is where we would be interested in you saying what is pushing female disc golf, what is hindering it, and what are your ideas about this? We have two microphones.
Yeah, that's a very important point. I think, Maria. Yes.
Yes, I think I can give a little bit of my perception on this, because I think like there is a lot of women that are very sportive all their lives, and then when they go to sports like disc golf, they continue because it's really part of their life. So I think that is very, very normal, and that type of focus points on women is a good target. For instance, when we want to find women, and I think we did it also with Ultimate, like when you want to have like good players, you try to target women that are very sportive. But I think the point that Calixto showed is like, for instance, in countries where you work many hours, for instance, like your work is like, let's say, more than 39 hours, 42 hours. So then you have less time. When you go to more Nordic countries, perhaps you have less hours, or at least we used to live in the Netherlands and you finish like at 5 p.m. and then you have quality of life afterwards. So in those kind of countries, I think, perhaps, I don't know more than northern from the Netherlands, perhaps like it's more normal that no matter if you are a woman or man, you continue with your life, like even at different stages. So perhaps that could be a difference between countries where we work a lot and we have to focus later on in our lives more on working, and in countries where perhaps quality of life means also having fun, having a sport, even if you were not like extremely sportive at the beginning.
I think that's a very good point. I also think that golf has the disadvantage that when you have young children, it's not like going to the beach or the field and playing Ultimate that somebody takes care of your kids. They have to be quiet. It's not a place that you can bring kids and they're going to walk with you the field quietly while you play. And I think that doesn't help. Another thing that I think is very interesting from Calixto stats, and having been in sports for a long, long time, I think people might try a sport, but they only stay in a sport either because they want to compete. They're highly competitive, and I think that tends to happen less with women than with men. But it's if they have fun. they have to enjoy the experience. You want to do it again if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, it's like, I tried it, I don't like it. And then they go play pickleball or something that everybody gets together, and that there's social part afterwards. And golf, because it's an individual sport where you're playing quietly, and often you go to the field and you are many hours, you can not talk to anybody really, and it's alone. So everything that goes badly, it's in your head. It's very different. So I think that's also something that we can all think about, especially at the starter level, making sure the experience is a fun experience. One of the guys in Worlds was saying when he does kids things, it's really boring for young kids to just throw. So they throw, then they run a bit. Then they throw, then they run a bit, or do like jumping over things. So they keep busy and tired. And at the end of the day, they had a great day. To sit there quietly and watch somebody throw, it's like, this is boring. So, yeah, can we leave? What time's? So I think all these things can be taken into account when we're trying to grow the sport. It's something that it's important, an important point. And who of the French ladies would like to speak?
But I also want to tell you something, for instance, about the French. Because, for instance, perhaps I can say it first in French. Parce que, par exemple, je pense qu'en France, vous, dans le sud-ouest, vous avez fait une communauté, c'est bien lié à ce que Sofia a dit. Vous avez fait une communauté que c'est fun, c'est drôle, c'est que vous êtes une famille, et que c'est pour ça que, par exemple, on reste, et ça passe le temps, mais on reste. Et je crois que dans des autres régions de la France, on ne fait pas exactement ça, parce que c'est peut-être plus un sport des garçons, plus compétitif, qu'ils te regardent plus les pieds, des choses comme ça, hein, que ça fait pas si amusant. Et je crois que vous êtes un grand exemple pour ça, parce qu'on sait que vous avez fun, que vous allez dans les tournois, que vous voulez être ensemble. Et ça, c'est une chose que Sofia a dit, qu'il faut quand même que si on veut grandir la communauté, il faut qu'on devienne plus amical, plus de groupes, qu'il a beaucoup de plaisir. Et on sait qu'en France, c'est plus vous, dans le sud, que vous faites beaucoup plus ça que le reste.
And this is a club. Just for those who don't speak French, I'll really quickly sum up what Maria was saying is really important. She was congratulating this group because they actually do exactly that. They are a community, they have fun playing and push. Is that correct? Did I understand correctly? And that's fantastic. And yes, I feel that every time I'm with you in a tournament. Look at those smiles.
And they are going everywhere together. And like
Yes.
you can, like comparing to the rest of France, you can feel that like in the southwest of France is more like there is like a women group and perhaps they are half and half. And in the rest of France, we have more like male dominance.
Yeah.
And it's more competitive and we check more the feet. And we are like more like into the rules. And perhaps that scares, because I remember my first competition in France, like there was the best guy in France looking at my feet. And it's like, that scares. And that is perhaps also a message to these big pros, like, hey, we have to welcome people in a different way.
As I knew that I understand French, by the way, as well. So also for tomorrow that you can speak French. But I made a bit of survey in Finland, what women feel there. And one of the comments was that there is not enough women for organizing things for women. But I think that we should also recognize those men who support women and give credit to them, because I know that in Finland we also have men who are very supportive for the women's competing and they organize events for women. So also like how to recognize them and how to support them to be even more active for organizing women, different stuff. But I think it also comes all from ourselves, that we need to also step up and be active. And as a mom, I know it's not always easy, But if you feel motivated and if you have good people around you, you might only need the one person who is with you, and then you can do together. I know men can sometimes be lonely wolves and do things on their own, and women need more the friend who to plan together. So I totally understand that as well.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to demystify, I think it's really important. Women are not victims. If we're not playing, it's because we're choosing not to play. That's what we have to work on. It's not because we're not allowed to play. It's because we're choosing not to play. And so, or women are choosing not to play, or maybe they don't even know about it. Maybe they're happy. I have women friends who say, Sunday morning is my day off. He goes, plays disc golf, and I have the morning to myself. They don't want to know anything about it. So I really think that I don't want to take, and Terhy, I think we both agree on this. We discussed it slightly. I don't want to take on a victim's role. We are not victims. It's a choice. And why is that choice, and how can we work on it to make sure that the choice changes, and that because 7% makes no sense. It just makes no sense, especially in a sport that you can play while you can walk, you can play. And so it makes no sense that it's 7%. I understand that there are phases in life that are more complicated, but this is a sport for life in a way, and it's going to help. So that's what I think we can work on. And I'd love to hear from you guys about your experience and what you're doing. Anybody want? You can speak in French, and then Calixto will translate. Or in English. Your English is fine as well.
Non, non, vas-y. Vas-y.
Tu peux parler français.
Ah oui,
pour que tout le monde le comprenne, parce qu'il y a Aurélie aussi.
I don't know if the question is about the tournament in July.
Oh, perfect.
Overall, because
Yes, two things. I'd love to hear about the model that what you were getting. Like, how did it happen with your group? And
it's not about.
Ok. Donc,
It's about
and
Mimizan
then I want
spirit.
to hear about the tournament in July.
Mimizan spirit.
En fait, c'était
Le fortiping.
Le fortiping. Au début, c'était. Au début, c'était. On va pas dire que c'était pas facile de s'intégrer parce qu'il y avait beaucoup d'hommes. Et au départ, on n'était que 2 femmes au fortiping qui jouaient. Et c'était pas facile parce qu'il y avait personne pour nous apprendre aussi. Donc on prenait du plaisir, mais voilà, au bout d'un moment, ils ont joué beaucoup mieux que nous, plus vite. Et en fait, c'est vrai qu'on s'est retrouvés un peu à part. Et puis après, il y a eu d'autres femmes qui sont arrivées. Et en fait, du coup, ça a créé... voilà, on pouvait jouer ensemble et du coup, maintenant, on joue tous ensemble.
Okay, she's saying that in 40 pins at the beginning there was basically men only. They were the 2 Célines were the only ones, and they were brave enough to play with all of them. It was not easy to they had no one to learn from exactly, and if there is a big difference also in the playing level, the experience is not as amusing as fun.
Yeah,
you know?
and the speed, right? Because they're throwing,
Yeah.
and then the men, and then they walk to their disc, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I still have to
that's
throw
it.
2 more times.
Yeah, but then more women arrived, and they built that beautiful spirit.
And so slowly more women started coming in. So it was 2, and then 3, and
D'abord 2, et maintenant on est 5, 6, peut-être 7.
Peut-être 7.
Enfin,
There are 7 women on the club now.
Et-
fantastic.
Amazing.
étant donné que c'est un site aussi où il y a des gens qui viennent pour... parce qu'il y a aussi l'entreprise Disque Golf, en fait, c'est comment dire, c'est...
En fait, il y a le parcours.
Il y a le parcours pour nous qui sommes
Parcours payant.
licenciés. Et puis après, il y a le parcours payant pour tous les gens qui viennent en vacances et qui font juste une partie. Et les gens aussi qui habitent là. Et il y a une émulsion, il y a pas mal de joueurs. Au bout d'un moment, les femmes viennent jouer. Et comme c'est vraiment, oui, c'est un esprit de famille.
Yeah, Mimizan is quite a special case. It's built in a camping on a beautiful pine forestry by the beach, and it has a mixed spirit because they have a lovely bar. They put some open music, and you go there just to chill out. Maybe you don't want even to play disc golf, but you go there for the ambience. And they have they have the serious players that are playing all the time, but a lot of people that go there on holidays and just want to have a fun round, and it's creating an amazing spirit.
Après, on fait pratiquement tous les dimanches où il n'y a pas des tournois ailleurs, ou même s'il y a des joueurs qui vont dans des tournois ailleurs, tous les dimanches, en fait, on fait un tournoi amical du dimanche. Et en fait, tous les groupes on tire au sort et on est souvent au moins 4 femmes qui sont là, parce que nous, on mélange tout le monde et en fait, tout le monde s'amuse. Et
Il n'y a pas que la compétition.
Il n'y a pas que la compétition, en fait. Alors oui, on ne s'entraîne pas comme il faudrait s'entraîner, parce que on n'évolue pas forcément parce qu'on ne fait pas des vrais entraînements. On joue, mais vraiment, en fait, pour s'amuser. Et c'est ça aussi qui crée les liens et que les gens reviennent.
Ouais.
Et le week-end dernier, il y a eu un tournoi par équipe, non PDGA, en fait, et où sur 19 équipes, il y en avait 9 mixtes.
C'est bien.
Et
Okay.
en fait, et il y avait des gens de tout niveau, en fait.
Wow.
Et on a senti là, en fait, que les équipes mixtes, en fait, d'habitude, je pense qu'il y a 2-3 ans, il y aurait eu 1 ou 2 équipes mixtes.
Oui.
Et là, en fait, il y avait quand même 9 équipes mixtes.
9 out of 19. So basically, one of the things that's happening is that every Sunday they have a casual tournament, like a competition, every Sunday. And for example, last weekend, so it was in pairs, pair play. And last Sunday, 19 pairs, 9 were mixed pairs. So it's grown a lot. And this every Sunday, and that I think that's a very important thing. I noticed that in Portugal, growing disc golf, one of the ways that it's grown is that every Sunday there's a league day at 10 in the morning. It's free. And what I do, just because I know the Portuguese and they're not very good at being consistent, I have a 10-week league in which the top 4 rounds count. And so it's free, and it runs for 10 weeks, and the top 4 rounds count. And so the people that come every time, they want to play better and better to get better rounds. But even if you only come 4 out of 10 weeks, it still counts. And that works very well. I'd love to do with women, but we don't have enough women yet. So it would be, 3 or... I have to do it because eventually it will happen. Yes, that's it. Now we want.
What she was mentioning earlier about last week, it was actually a team of 3 people. That's right. That's a FNSMR, and that's exactly the format we are going to organize next summer. So Céline, and a bit of help from me, with a team only women in the team, so that women are not so afraid of going in pairs with men. And in the team championships that we have in France, that's the first time this year that we will have 1 woman on the team mandatory. So that's the first year.
Wow.
So it was a hard fight to make the organization allow that, because every team has to find a woman, maybe 2, for replacement if one is injured or tired.
It's obligatory. It will be obligatory
Exactly.
in France that every team that participates in the team French championships has to have 1 woman.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
every 4 years, not every year, but that's it. It's a regional. We have 1 team per region in France, so it will be a regional team, and that's a really hard fight to make that happen, and it's going to be amazing, I think, because for the first time, women will be fighting against women, and in this format that is really interesting, the match play, which is a totally different sport because you take more risk. It's so fun, and usually we are the only women in the team, and we are fighting against men, and it's so frustrating. I could have done better, and now we are going to fight among others. So.
Yeah, it's very good.
And in order to be able to grow this thing about being 1 woman in a team, Céline had the idea to organize a woman-only team event so that they can learn the format, they can learn doubles, how do we play, how do we strategize exactly. And so this is why they had the idea of organizing that in next July. So it will be 3 players, female players, team, and we are going to be in doubles and in single, only in match play for the whole weekend in Vichy. So
And that's the 11th and 12th of July. am I
yeah, so
correct?
please tell everybody in your country that you can join Vichy. It's a beautiful course, really nice. In center of France, you can enjoy also the city. It has beautiful buildings.
Let's
and
get a Portuguese-Spanish team. Lorea.
exactly.
I have one suggestion. One of the Doug knows about this. There is some talks about the possible evolution of the President's Cup. You know that the President's Cup is now, from now on, organized by PDGA, and there's suggestion talkings about how is going to be the format. One of PDGA Europe's suggestions was the fact of incorporating a mixed doubles alternate shot round. I mean, silver lat and Kristin lat. One silver Kristin, silver Kristin, silver Kristin. We feel that there are a couple of reasons for that. First, increasing the percentage of women in the President's Cup as such. We feel it's one of the few sports where it happens. I personally love the fact that it should happen on other sports. There should be some kind of mixed basketball teams or something, but it doesn't happen. In Ultimate, it happens. I think it's wonderful. Also, we will have bigger chances to win because the European women are better than the American women. But I don't know how you feel about, for example, in those kind of formals, and maybe that.
And I would add to, before Doug, I just want to add that in reality, the World Games, as you saw this year, and if we want to be present under the eye of the Olympic Committee, that is the only way that it's going to work with mixed.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So it's better said when a female says it than when I do. So that the World Games, though, is exactly that format, and it's very, very exciting that we can send teams to the World Games where it's equal between males and females. And the Olympic Committee loves that.
Yeah, they love it.
Yes.
And so I think that for all reasons, so not just from a growth perspective from PDGA, from the player perspective, from the competitive perspective, but also in the eyes of the IOC and growing the sport at that level as well, on a political level, I guess we can call it.
It's coming out.
Yeah, and also like from the experience from the World Games, I think is an sport that gives it doesn't put like the woman in a position that is weaker than the male, because the courses are very technical in general. So it's like you always can use the best skills for one shot and the other shot. So it's not really like you put a woman to be kind of like just the backup of the men. It's really that you can use the strengths of both technical or strength, because I mean we were playing against Evelina that throws what she throws and
Around the world.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a sport that can really maximize the skills of women and men.
What happened? It died.
She's right.
You just need the strength.
Take it off.
I can give an example because I can almost say that what haven't I done with the sport? It was 2014 when we in Helsinki area thought that there isn't a club in the area that kind of is inclusive, and then we decided to establish a new club with my current husband, but also our friends around. And then we thought that we would also have more women into club, and then we were thinking that how to do it. So we actually organized this kind of couples game that like our friends brought their girlfriends into the game, and we had like this very unofficial rounds together. And in our club, we actually ended up in the situation where more than 20% of the members were women, and we had over 100 members in the club. So we at some point had almost 30 women in the club, and there we kind of found it. Some still continue, some have retired, but I think that we had a really good spirit there because it wasn't too official, We had fun together. It was a very low barrier to like come there because they knew that there will be other person who are there for the first time. And when I started, it was like all men, but I think that we got a good group playing together. Just that we brought people who don't know each others, who were all beginners together, and then it kind of like took away the I cannot play.
Intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't encourage everyone to set up a new club, but maybe to have these kind of events where people can bring their friends or girlfriends or someone who hasn't tried the sport yet, and then kind of like make a really low ceiling to start and try for the first time.
Sofia, I would like to introduce a couple of questions that we are receiving from the website, if you want.
Fantastic. But let me just add to, I think what Terhy said is so important. I think having an event in which everybody that plays brings in somebody that doesn't play for that event, so that basically half the players there have never started, so that you don't have that feeling like, I can't throw this thing and everybody knows what they're doing, is a great idea. That's a great idea. Calixto, so you said there's questions from the website.
We have been receiving those last week's questions we've been asking about what could be introduced in this debate. People that have not been able to come here. For example, they were talking about high-level competition. How do you feel about the possibility of creating high-level women-only events? I mean, in other sports, for example, like golf, it's so much bigger. There's a women's tour and a men's tour.
So I'll answer your question. Yeah. I think at this point, where we are right now, I prefer to focus on events that are all-inclusive. But I do think that what we can do, and this I speak to everybody in this room, we need an ambassador or ambassadors, women, ideally, that let's get a group of European women going to throw pink in the States. Why isn't there more European women going to? So if the large A-tier and high-level events, they exist, if we're not participating in them, once we have enough people participating in the ones that do exist, that are well-run, that they have the competition present, I don't think it makes any sense for us, because in reality, we are 3 staff members, 7 board members, to try to host an event at that level. Plus, it competes with already what I consider a very busy schedule for the pros. So, so I think that that's important, but it's not on our table yet. Okay. I think when we have... It's almost like the comparison for me would be like Pro Worlds. It's now held here every 4 years because approximately 1/5 of PDGA members are from Europe. When we can discuss that kind of thing at that level, at the FPO level, that, okay, 50% of women at Throw Pink or 30% are European, maybe we can change the thing and rethink it. But for now, I would keep it open to all divisions, including amateurs, and let's get more people playing. That's how I see it.
I do agree as well, and I guess it's also like being realistic is in terms of logistics as well. It's like a lot of people is always with the family or with the partner that is also playing, and I think logistically to separate it will be very complex.
That said, I would like to, so we made a little bit of this weekend is a weekend that's tough for a lot of the girls from the pro girls, including Holland Hanley, and they would consider coming here if it wasn't so close to Throw Pink. And so we need to scatter it so that it's not in the middle and right at the end of their pro tour, and Throw Pink is next weekend. And so I think we need to also think about when we do the next festival here that we make sure that it's scheduled so that the pro women can come to our event. And we will have a pro division as well, obviously, like we have here now.
Okay. I have some words from Kristin Latt. We invited her to come here. She's following all our activities and she's always willing to cooperate. I can think I can read it. Hey, thank you for the kind words and the invitation. That place looks absolutely amazing, deserves a visit for sure. But unfortunately, on that weekend, we have a special kind of disc golf event happening in our hometown that me and Silver are organizing, which cannot back away from. Of course, we can discuss my potential involvement and on women's disc golf and the future as a role as an ambassador. Wish you all the best. So, Kristin is. Another of the questions that we have received is, how do you feel about these other organizations on those big female-oriented events that are not only female events, but also female-organized events? The clearest example is the Nordic Female Open. Maybe you know Caroline Selnes. She was invited also to Pro Worlds from Norway, and she's not only organizing, but she's creating a whole structure of a staff. They have like 5-6 women organizing the event. They even rotate their positions so that the tournament director is the tournament director of one year is the tournament director of the next year. One takes care of the finances, one takes care of the logistics. So they are encouraging women to say, hey, we shouldn't only rely on men to organize things, but not only competing, but organizing. There's another event called Ladies First in Czech Republic. Czech Republic is also very strong on this. How do you feel about this role of not only female-only events, but female-organized events, or boosting this kind of cooperations with Nordic Female Open, etc.?
I think it's impressive, and I think we have a lot to learn from the Nordic Female Open. It was wonderful to have Caroline in Finland and to speak to her both at the summit, and then we had lunch together. And I think what she provides, what the Nordic Female Open provides, is a space for women, also a WhatsApp group, and so that when women are going to a tournament, they can say who wants to go together, because you're not all alone going somewhere. But I think what Nordic Female Open does is really, really, really good, and it's grown a lot. I mean, I think there was 70 players or something. It's blown up. It gets filled up every time I speak. The thing.
It's your fault.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, let's and I think we should encourage that kind of organization. I think it's important. And when I speak about ambassadors, to try and get European women going to throw pink and going to, big events that are female only in the States, for example, that's exactly the kind of thing that I would love to see happen and would love to help it. It's not something as a PDGA board member that I will personally be taking on, but I would love to facilitate and help and share and that kind of thing.
Okay, I keep on talking if no one interrupts me. Sofia made a survey in the female Facebook group that I invite you to join if you're not part of that. It's public, you only have to be accepted, that's it. Hello girls, how about female specific disc golf clinics, as the one that we're gonna host tomorrow here? I think it's a great idea, 47%. I would gladly participate in a female specific disc golf clinic, 26%. I would be happy to organize a disc golf clinic, female specific, 26%. Thanks, but that's not for me, 1%. I have always heard, and I try to, make my mind on the female mentality, which is different from ours. How do you feel, how important is the fact that when you are starting a sport and you don't want that typical man that is going to explain you how do you have to do it and grabs you and touches you and brings your shoulders, how important is to have those kind of female specific clinics or beginner classes? How do you feel that it can
Calixto,
help?
you don't grab people when you teach them. I think that it's a safe space. It's the safe. It goes back to what Terhy was saying. It's not only the safe space, but not being intimidated, because even if you're a 12-year-old girl or a 13 or 14 or 15, and you're beside a 12-year-old boy or 13 or 14 or 15, the power and the throws is just a little bit different. And so to start off with, to be able to to look at something that is possible for you to reach and not be something that you just go, I'm never going to be able to do that. It's the frustration aspect and the intimidation aspect that I think is really important for beginners and for the women. When you're really young, like 5, 6, 7, it actually doesn't make much of a difference. Not really. And do you think it does, Noemi? Do you think it makes a difference when you're tiny? I wonder. I don't know enough about it. Doug, maybe you... But I would say that up to a certain age, maybe 8, 9, it doesn't... But then girls grow up, they mature earlier than the boys. And then there's also the just being comfortable in your body, being comfortable, not being conscious of who's looking at you and what's... It's the kind of environment that I think then it becomes, maybe from 11 on, that it becomes beneficial to do both, not to have only separate, but to also have the separate. It's like kids in school. Often kids do better in classes in which there are only boys or only girls. It's just because they have different ways of learning, the process is different. But it doesn't mean they shouldn't have it together as well sometimes too, because we are people, and in the end, the similarities are more than the differences.
Yeah. I'm totally agree with Sofia, and I will add that I think sometimes we need some specific advice. Yeah, advice. Yeah, that many times men like assume that we have to do like them, exactly the same, and I don't think. And when it's that way, and when we find our form, our power, our whatever, they are like, or that this is what I find many times, no? That they say, no, you have to do like this. No, this is my form, and I want to do it like this. No, I don't need to be like you. I don't care not throwing 120 meters. I don't need that. I have my style. And I think this happened also with the courses, that many courses in Spain are designed by men for men. And I think that's a problem, because I've never been able to do a birthday, for example, because I don't have the meters. So I think it's both, no? The clinics for female and the course design sometimes. So we want to invite to Lecumberri, because I think it's very nice course for men and women.
But how cool is that Paul Macbeth says that he takes tips from Ida Lehtomäki and her form? How cool is that?
Yeah, I think I understand what it's funny because in my brain and for me in golf I'm competing with myself, and so my rating is whatever it is, and I want to play better than what my rating is, and I want to play better for myself. I know when I don't play well, and I know when I play well. And I think the courses, there's two options there, either putting a closer tee or giving a handicap, so a +1 for women. But in the end, do you mean that it's so long that it's too much? Too many? Okay.
I can agree with her, because that's something I realized here. It's the first time I made 2 birdies in one course. For the other time, the other time was when I was in the US playing the Maple Hill course, the red ones, because they have this culture of different layouts. And this is something we miss, especially in France. This is something that is happening a lot. When we are more than 10 women on a competition, they say, okay, we can have a layout for women, children, old men, or stuff like that. And then we have like the group that can produce a rating that is something interesting. But that's really something, because that's the beauty of the sport. When you can fight the course and beat it a bit, that's really...
How do you feel about this course, about this layout?
Yeah, this is what I was saying. This is the first time I've made 2 birdies in this course. And it never happens. In France, I never do birdies. It never happens. Even if there are some little ones, but if you want...
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think because, for instance, sometimes I talk with my friends in other parts of the world, and like when I see, for instance, perhaps that also is part of the motivation, that perhaps it drives people to don't like that much the sport. If, for instance, myself, I know that in France, I never make a birdie. Never. And never. Like you always are plus, you are always like a round is always +6, +7, +8, +9, because their courses are difficult, are long. Like I never thought about that, but I think that could drive the motivation or get out of way the motivation as well.
Yeah. I'll just quickly comment on that motivation, because we had the women's event in Kippasua, Finland, that is the world's second best course. And we had the event 2 years ago, and all I remember was that I didn't birdie, and like the holes were a bit too long, like that bit too long that you cannot get the final satisfaction for succeeding. And this year, I have to confess that I haven't played that much, that I would have gone better. But then I heard that they had made changes to the course, that the holes are a bit easier. And I really enjoyed playing their 2 different layouts, because and I birdied twice as well. So, so that is the motivation, and that is the feeling that you need, that keeps you going and coming to the competitions the next time as well. Yeah. And the feeling that you succeed in something that you have trained hard and so definitely on that.
I would like to add a point on this. I went to the European Masters Disc Golf Championships because we had an agreement with PDGA, so we helped on the media side. I had the chance to play also the course, and I played the MP40 layout, which was too tough. I played +6, playing okay, no birdies, of course. And then the next day I had the chance to play the FP40 layout. And I made even par on the course. I made a couple of birdies, and it was exciting for me. And it was exactly the same feeling that, okay, I cannot reach 120 meters, par 3. I don't care. I'm going to go fairway, approach, putt. Fairway, it is boring. Okay. We are discussing, for example, some options. For example, for those kind of events, the current system of big, let's say, for example, a European Championships. A European Championship is a special competition where you have to handle the top players. Johnny Lumi, an MP40 player that is more than 1,000 rated, it's a beast. But you have 27 countries, so you have players from Ireland, which are 750 rated players. But you want them to have a good experience. You want them to enjoy representing Ireland, go back to Ireland, bring more people to the sport, etc. How do you do that? The current system is a cut on the 3rd day or 2nd day. Okay, you are on the bottom half, go home. I'm currently working with Mathieu Verle, the PDGA competition manager, to see if we could work on some kind of program of process according to the current rules, so that that cut could be layout based. I mean, I am MP40. I play MP40. I play day 1 or day 1 and day 2 or whatever. I am on the bottom half, of course. I'm 52nd. And then the 3rd day, I go back to another course or to another layout, a shorter one that I'm going to enjoy. The maximum position I could make is 31st, but I don't care. I'm going to enjoy. I don't want to keep on playing on this course. So these kind of events like World Championships and European Championships are a bit special, and we're trying to work on those kind of... So if you have ideas on that kind of adapting to the layout according to your actual results, so that everyone enjoys.
Applying that idea into the situation with women and what you were saying, Lorea, and you were saying that, so what are your favorite courses in Spain, just out of curiosity? Yeah. Oh, yours. I've never been there. Okay.
Palau. Yeah. Palau Solità en Plegamans, next to Barcelona. I think it's very nice course. Yeah.
Oh, I
You
have
have
to go there.
long holes, but you have short ones and technical more.
Madrid,
It's really fun. Yeah.
Madrid.
Madrid. That's
Madrid.
very fun. Yeah.
Yes, the same.
Well, I have the microphone, so. No, yeah, I wanted to address the course problem. I think in Spain, the thing is that who is the person that goes to the city hall or whatever and asks for a course? The one that is super involved, the one that wants to go pro, whatever, no, the one that is very into a sport. So when they are creating the course, what happens? They want to make it as difficult as they can so that they can test themselves and go for it and everything. And I think that's and men, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because I've done that mistake too myself. And I think that that mentality where whenever we have one chance to build, because I don't know how many courses are there in Spain, 16. So if someone gets the chance to build a course, it's going to be the longest, the most difficult one, the biggest one, wow. And they go for it, and then they don't get new people. Why? Because that course is unplayable for new people. And how easy would it be for enfranchised players to go to a short course like Madrid, for example, or like Lecumberri, in 1 hour and a half from here if you want to get there. It's free. And just if you want, you make the short layout and just put that into place, because if you're an enfranchised player, you can always take 20 steps back and play from there so you want. And there you have the challenge. Build your challenge. Do Strom Safari Golf. The challenge is there. Or like Calixto did here in Bilbao, set some sticks with white tees 20 meters behind and play from there. A new player is never going to play from there because he's going to see the sticks and he's going to say, what is that?
No, and eventually, after trying it, he can, when he thinks, oh, wow, I got the course under control, you can then...
But then build the shorter ones first so that everyone can enjoy it.
So I saw in Finland, too, you guys have a lot of courses, and most are public. In Portugal, we only have one public course. It's now the second one, went up this week. Otherwise, everything is private. So that's a different mentality. So what you were saying about going to the municipality, I completely understand. But even the private, it's like, I want the pros to come, so I want to make a really difficult course, and it makes no sense because we have to grow like this, right? But thank goodness that right now the courses are being built with 3 layouts. So an intermediate, a pro one, and more little tiny one for juniors and elderly.
We actually have a pay-to-play course in Sipoo, Sippe Disc Golf, if you have ever heard. And we have 3 different layouts. The black layout was for the Finnish national championships. But what we want to do for next season is that we actually want to have a 6-hole course. The holes are only maximum 40 meters. And why we want to have that is that we actually have a kindergarten next to our course, and we want to offer also for the kids place to start. And I'm planning to involve the municipality also and run a club for 1 to 4th grade girls to actually introduce to the sport, because in Finland, like Calixto said, we are lagging behind the 7%, that is the average. And I think that we really need to do something. And I think that in many sports, they really put effort on the junior side and for the girls and boys, of course, because when they have the junior base, then like when people drop off from the sport, there is still the juniors who are growing the base and like keeping up the sport and growing the sport. So I also want to focus on girls, and I know in Finland that we have, I would say, a challenge that we don't have girls in the junior divisions playing, even if we offer those. There are only a handful of them, maybe 1 or 2. So I think that that is something at least I want to focus on next to like getting more girls involved.
I would actually have a question for for France and maybe for the States and maybe for Canada, maybe Brian, you have a good, and Spain. How many women do you think, or what percentage of women do you think are actually playing disc golf that are not PDGA members? About. Because I know in Portugal, probably regular players,
Non PDG. Non, t'es pas obligé.
probably 50% are PDGA members, maybe even less, because I can't get them to register because they don't care. They don't care about their... because in Europe, you can play a PDGA sanctioned event without being a PDGA member. And yes, they get their rating for the event at that event because it's still on the site, and they just... It's not important enough to them. So every year I push. Every year, this year will be the national championships in 2 weeks, and I'll be telling everybody, register on PDGA, and most of the men do, because you can register in October and you already have the 26 membership, but not the girls, or at least not comparatively. What do you think is the case in France, in Spain, in Finland, that a lot of women, they play casually, they go to the park, because I saw a lot of women playing in Finland in the parks I went to, but they're not PDGA members and they don't. So how can we make it interesting for them?
Can I say something real quick? This is something that we debate at PDGA Global often, is at what point is somebody really ready to be a PDGA member? And I think the big difference is that, and I use ping pong a lot as an example. Our family, ping pong has always been a game. It's never been a sport. And I think there's a lot of people where disc golf is a game. And we need people that start out with disc golf as a game and then get serious enough to call it a sport. And I think PDGA members, we have the highest level of competition, the sanctioned competition where we play by the rules. And I do think there is a gap between people that approach disc golf as a game. We approached disc golf as a game the first time we played it. And then we were like, hey, wait a second, I want to see how I compete against somebody else. I never once wanted to learn how I would compete against somebody else in ping pong, but I love to play ping pong in the basement. So that's something where the PDGA needs to think, do we need to play a bigger role with folks that are treating disc golf as a game, or do we need to make it as a sport? And I just want to make one quick comment about the courses too. Courses are so important. And I think as you mentioned, I would be more proud to say I designed the course that Kristin Lott first played disc golf than to say I designed the course that is Kristin Lott's favorite disc golf course. Because guess what? Had that first course not been there, we wouldn't have had somebody. And I guarantee you that Kristin Lott, her first round of playing disc golf, it was a game. So
my comments from Canada and my experience at PDGA, a lot of it has to do with, one thing that concerns me is the name of this organization, Professional Disc Golf Association. We can say, well, it reflects the fact that we comport ourselves professionally. We're a professional organization. But I would argue that if we called ourselves the Players Disc Golf Association, that the name itself would be less intimidating. Something for all the ladies, there's this amazing young player in New Zealand called Sarah Wadsworth, who's like 10 years old. And she's almost 900 rated, I think now, and she just kills in all the tournaments she enters. I would say contact her and say, what are the secrets that made you who you are? Obviously, that's a lot of family support. She's probably got real athletic talent. From young, she's genuinely interested in sports, and so she found this one. But what is the formula that made her as good as she is at her young age? And you could ask the same thing about the two Idas in Scandinavia and so on. Otherwise, I mean, to say you want to play competitive, sanctioned by the global governing body disc golf, I mean, any sport. We can just look at football or soccer, as we call it in North America. I mean, all millions of people play recreational soccer, but they're not interested in trying out for the Bayern Munich under 12 team or doing something at that level. They enjoy it as a recreational hobby, and that's what their place is in the sport. In terms of how many people who play disc golf on a semi-regular basis. So let's say they play 3 or more times a year. I mean, we figure it's probably somewhere between 5 and 10%. I'm a bit optimistic, and so I say maybe 10% of those players in North America get involved with the PDGA.
And is that
But
the
it's the
same
same-
for men
the
and
sa-
women? Do you
It's the
think
same thing.
Same
It's
for
the same thing in any sport that you look at. How many people get involved at the seriously organized level?
Sorry, Brian.
in
Is
terms-
it the same?
in terms
do you
of
think
women-
that 5 and 10% is across the board for both men and women? Or do
Well,
you
without
think-
having done a scientific study, it would be my guess that is the answer. I mean, there's a big club night on Toronto Island every week, and most of them aren't PDJ. It's run by a woman.
No.
She's not interested in being a PDJ member, but she organizes the club night every Wednesday, and there's other women in that group who play. But that is what they enjoy doing. The other thing about the courses, I mean, the Toronto Island course, sure, it costs more money. We've talked about 2 sets or 3 sets of tee pads, but the other half of that is, if you can afford it, put in 2 sets of baskets. And that way you have the whole variety. You can play the Toronto Island from the shorts to the shorts, to the longs to the longs. And the longs to the longs is the gold level course.
Yeah.
And the shorts to the shorts is much more typical of the way the courses were 30 or 40 years ago when I played on the island, and half of the holes were around 200 or 225 feet, so 50, 60, 70 meters. And it was a lot of fun, even for us good players at the time, because we were trying to birdie every hole. And other players were reaching most holes and having a chance to get a birdie. And I think that's, there's something cool. Even today, I love, partly because I'm old and I don't play much, so, you give me a 70-meter hole, I have a chance. You give me a 100-meter hole, I'm trying to get a 3, right? So I would think, the key is it goes to what someone said about so many of the courses, because they want to attract the good players, they want to make it tough. People are throwing further and further, the top players mostly. And so they want courses that are crazy difficult for most people, but then the couple of good pros can come to town and people go, wow, the guy shot an 8 under on our ridiculously hard course. So that legitimizes that layout almost. But if there's not layouts that give the younger players, the women, the older men, as someone mentioned, the opportunity to have the fun to know they played at least a few holes really well and their score reflected it, then you're not going to entice them and keep them in the game. Those are some thoughts.
Any word from Sweden? Oh.
On that same idea, just that is the reason why Madrid is, for example, the course that gets more players that no one knows. When you go to a place, it's the same people playing over and over. And it's Madrid where you go, and hey, there's someone playing there and no one knows who they are. And then there's another group coming and no one knows. And then we're playing a tournament and a group comes and plays, and it's like, it's short, it's available, it's in the middle of the city, and everyone can play it. And you go to the first hole and it's 35 meters downhill. Like, you can throw a roller just like a kid can throw it, and maybe they can get somewhat close. Yeah, or an ace or whatever. But yeah, fun and being able to play, it's paramount for sure. But I think that's a global problem, and I think that's those problems that you were speaking of, they are more about disc golf as a sport. And the thing about amateurs and PDGA, not everyone has to be PDGA member. We need a big base and whatever. It's more not a woman problem per se, but a sport problem that also happens when women are involved. Like if the problem with the sport is that only a few want to be PDGA, the problem is going to be more apparent with women. If there are 5 women and only 1 is PDGA, it's going to be very apparent. But
I agree,
the percentage is
and
the same.
I don't agree with. I agree with what you're saying overall, and I don't agree because that would be across the board for all, for both men and women. And what we see is a 7% versus a 93%. So what I'd like to know is why, even if you look now at the Pro Tour, you have approximately 200 men in the MPO division and approximately 80 to 100 women. That would make me happy, a 30%, 33%. But 7% is quite low. So what I'd like to know, and I'm really curious about this, is why. So is there more women that aren't PDGA members playing recreationally and just not interested? And so that's why the men are more interested in, because they maybe are more competitive, or they're more interested in keeping track of their scores or their ratings. But that's what I'd like to know. Is there more women that are not joining PDGA because they're not interested, but they're playing recreationally, or are simply there a lot less women playing disc golf? It's probably a little bit of both, but I think it probably changes from place to place, and that's why I was interested to know from you. And I'd like to hear, Christer, in Sweden, you have a fair,
Yes, I think Sweden has roughly 7% also, and I don't think that it's women playing that are not PDGA members. I think it's even out. And I think the big problem is, of course, the courses. They're made by men for men, as everyone says. And they tried at Ale, the number 2 course in the world, to do on their white layout, female layout. And it was 2 men that did it. And the females, after that Swedish national, just said that the course was ridiculous. So they took input from the ladies and then did changes for the year after. And now the course are good for female pro players. They also have the yellow layout, 2 layouts, 1 pro layout, 1 regular layout. And they also have the short blue course, 9 holes, that they will extend to 12 holes so they can run, or 13, so they can run PDGA events on the blue course. And that's holes from 40 to 75 meters. So I think we need more women involved to create the courses. Because if you have a par 4, you do a short layout. And if it's a dogleg hole, then the women and the men end up on the zone to do the approach, and the men has a 85 meters approach. The women also. So 2 baskets, of course, more expensive, but you need to have women to do to be involved in the course layouts. And then I don't know. We need more female instructors, like this clinic for tomorrow with female only and female instructors. Yeah.
In line what Sofia says, there is an option for. We have a new system called Power BI where we are analyzing some data from the PDGA statistics. You know that PDGA membership is a very big, fortunately very big database with all the information from all the players, so from where I am from, my postal code, how many tournaments I play, where do I play, do I travel, do I not. We are digging deeper into try to extract useful information to get educated decisions, informed decisions, not on our thoughts but on our reality. And we would like you, maybe now it's a bit in a rush, but if you think about something, hey Calixto, I would like to know the female these golfers in France, do they play on their département, or do they travel or not? Or it depends on the rating, or it depends on the age, or we can go deeper to try to help Sofia, Terhy, and all the decision makers try to make those decisions on educated information. So feel free to think about it and tell us. So.
Yeah, even if you can't think about it right here, think about it when you go home and send us a message or put it on in the Facebook group that we can discuss it. So France and Finland, would you like to?
I can say just a couple words from Finland.
I'm looking at Finland over there, but Finland's moved.
Yeah, just quickly. I mean, it's Finland. There's quite a few us. But yeah, so just a couple words. I think it's a piece of the puzzle for sure, but from a Finnish perspective, we have over 1,000 courses, and there is plenty of easy ones in there as well. And yet the percentages, for women in Finland is not that high. So that makes me think that it's not maybe the main driver. I'm not an expert in this topic, so, it's just my observations from Finland. But yeah, it's definitely a piece of the puzzle, especially in countries where you don't have that many courses yet. But from my perspective and what I've heard women tell me, a big thing for them is the community aspect, not necessarily what exactly the course was and blah, blah, blah. Usually they tell me how fun the tournament or the event was because of the community side of it. So I think that's one of the big things we should be focusing on, trying to making it like a better experience overall. Also with the side events, like this one is an example of that. We have some very nice side events during the evenings. It's not only about the tournament and the competition. Also about Finland, like I don't have the statistics right here, right now, but I think there was some survey that said approximately 20% of Finns play disc golf at least once or twice per year, which is around 1 million people, which is a pretty crazy number, but it doesn't seem to translate into competitors. The amount of PDGA members is quite low. We have slightly over 4,000 out of 1 million people who try. It's not that much. The same goes with the Finnish association. They have a pretty decent amount of clubs around the country, which is good, but the clubs don't have that many members. So yeah, of course, from a PDGA perspective, in Finland, there's a lot of non-sanctioned events, so not everybody needs to join the PDGA. You can go to metrics events and this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, we don't need everyone to join the PDGA. But even the metrics events, there isn't that many women. My maybe perception is a bit skewed because I tend to go to the more difficult courses, and there the average level of even the men playing is quite high, so it's not maybe the best sample. I don't know, how is it for you guys when you host stuff in Sippe, for example? Do you have a lot of women in the metrics?
Yeah, I was actually just commenting that, of course, I have access to our customer database, and we can see increase of women players in our course. Okay. So that has been increasing year by year, and we actually started the sale of our season passes for next year on Wednesday, and the first purchaser was a woman. So happy for that as well. But I can see definitely an increase in our customers as well.
I actually took a picture at the supermarket in Finland, and one, in the sporting area of those big supermarkets, one whole row was discs, all kinds of golf discs. It was impressive. I mean, so I guess the last country
maybe if I can say a few words
France.
about France. Yes. It's my personal experience, not maybe representative of the whole country, but I've seen a lot of women giving up on disc golf when they have kids, because they usually go in couple. There are a lot of couples, and usually when they have kids, the guy go still, but not the woman. And maybe 15 or 20 years later, she comes back, but she has to rebuild her skill and etc. And I must say that in France, we don't have the club community like Céline was talking about. It's not the case everywhere. It's often less than 10 people in each location. and it's really hard. I'm struggling with it actually in my hometown. It's really hard to keep entertain the less than 10 people who don't have the same schedule and etc. To have like a regular schedule of going to the course at night. It's dark, it's cold, and you don't want to go outside. It's only on the weekends, but on the weekends we do something else. And when I was traveling to Estonia, I was super surprised to see each Wednesday at 6 they are all on the course. And it's not they don't have to think about it. It's each Wednesday and they go. We don't have this culture in France, and it's really a pity. Sometimes it's also really close to the ultimate frisbee sport, so it's linked together. So we have young people playing together and in teams, and then we try to offer them to play disc golf, which is individual, which is less sportive, etc. So they are not always willing to come. So when they retire from ultimate frisbee, they agree to come to disc golf. But the conversion, and especially the girls, I was super surprised to see in my hometown we have the biggest ultimate frisbee group club, but none of the girls wants to play because they feel not as performant as the men. Because in the ultimate frisbee, they are as performant. They are top players of the country, but not in disc golf. They're super surprised. So the gap between the men and women, and they are really competitive, and so they prefer not to play disc golf because they say, I cannot beat my boyfriend, and ultimate frisbee I can. So it's not happening. And this is something maybe we have to...
I see the same in Portugal. It's so interesting because they get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because in ultimate, if you throw badly once, you focus on defense, gain your... But the golf, it's like, oh, I hate this sport. It drives them crazy.
Yeah. I cannot manage to...
But not the men
I didn't
so
play
much.
ultimate, so I don't have this... I don't know why. But... yes, the women stop playing when they're having kids. It's really something... I don't know, a childcare during competitions would be awesome, but I'm not sure it's possible.
Yeah, about this certain time of the week, my plan for next summer is actually to start in our course this kind of discounted hour, like a happy hour for women. And my plan is also to work with the kindergarten next to us. And the goal is to have a babysitter for kids during the round. And that is, I have a couple of different options how to do that. But like then I also want to lower the obstacles for participating on certain hours because you don't get a nanny for your kids. So I try to make that happen because they have a very beautiful yard there where the kids could be while the moms play, and we don't have to play the whole 18 holes, but we can play 9 holes as well and do it a shorter one. And like that is something I have on my bucket list for yet.
That sounds perfect. And then the kids are going, Mom, I want to go play disc golf so that they can go and play, and Mom can play. So one of the things that Caroline brought up in Finland is that they have an event in Norway in which it's a 2-day event. The first day is for MPO and the men play. The second day, and moms take care of the kids. The second day, the women play, and the fathers take care of the kids. So this is something, and the kids love it because they're all there. They camp there. There's lots to do and a lot of fun things, so it's not boring. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to bring up.
I want to add something also about France. It's like, because one of the questions is like, okay, why? And I think like for Finland, for US, Canada, and all of you, it's very strange to see, like, for instance, why there are not that many women playing in France and in other countries, Italy, Portugal, and on other places. So I think there is something that we need to do. And the question is like, why? Because then you can say, it's like, why? If women don't want to play, they don't want to play. But it's also because the women that are playing, they feel alone in the categories. And it's frustrating, and perhaps that can drive us away from this golf, and I'm speaking personally. Because like sometimes, and a lot, like we have like regional leagues, like every 1 month in my region, in each region we have that. And it's very, very often that we have just one woman in FP40 and in FPO. And it's like, it's okay, but I think if it was more like a community, more like that it was a community, that it was normal women and men playing. So I think that is really a problem. I don't know if we can say a problem. It is a problem if we are running away from this golf. So it is, because
we don't want to go below 7%.
Because the question here is like, okay, if we have a lot of countries that have a lot of women, amateur or professional, PDGA or not, but there are countries like us where we have so few women that at some point we are going to get bored. And it's like, and then I don't know if there is one of the points in the agenda about like, okay, what type of solutions? And I was thinking a lot, like, for instance, in some of the things, motivation, because we say like, okay, sometimes we can bring a little bit of ultimate players, but it can be any kind of player. But then when you try a disc, you try the wrong disc, you don't get a good result, you run away. And then it's like, something that they did in Latin America was to bring a Spanish player to do, like, for instance, a clinic of trainers. So that is something that with PDGA Europe we could help to bring that to, for us, like, for instance, like, okay, we want to learn how to how to teach. Things like that. And also, I'm just throwing another one. It's like, I really think, like, for instance, we should think about like a program of bodies, like we have like the biggest disc golf players in the world, like in Finland and Estonia and everything. Like for us, when we are like in these countries or in these small clubs and leagues, that will be great if, for instance, at some point we can try to get scholarships or something like that to get one of those players sometimes to come to Mimizan. Like, can you imagine if we bring any, and it doesn't have to be the top one, but that we can bring Kristin. She has more time now. So we can bring Kristin to Mimizan. And like that will, like, for sure, the ones that are there, perhaps they will get even more motivated. But just because of the noise as well, we will bring more people as well. And the ones that are playing the regional league, we are not going to be one or two, we can be 3 or 4, and that will keep us more motivated.
Yeah, it's almost like you need a critical number for it to grow. So I think that's such an important thing in what you said. I think that at this point we do have decent tools for teaching and training trainers. Very recently, something that has been done very recently in the last year, basically. And that is going to be available for national associations. We are trying to help the education of disc golf in a formal way. But I think the women focusing part of it, and so what I've written here is the importance of women involvement in clinics, in events, in the course building and feedback on the courses, because like Christer was saying, if you build a course by a guy thinking this is the girls' tee, we need to take ownership of that and get involved. And what you were saying, I think that is so important, Maria, because it's very hard to stay engaged when there's not a critical number. It becomes a bit odd, like you're constantly, when you have a number that you can talk to and you have people to discuss things with and there's more people involved, it easier grows and you need that core number. And that said, I want to go to my next step, which is, I think, for me, very important. I'm going to cap it. I'm going to stop talking, I promise, but I do want to say 2 things. One of them is, although PDGA, Professional Disc Golf Association, is the sanctioned events, just the thought of it is for the competitive player, in reality, I believe it's more than 90% of our members are amateur in the world. And so there are a lot of people who don't want to be professionals, who are not interested in being professionals, but they're interested in practicing disc golf as amateurs. So that said, I think to start at the grassroots level with the women and to make it more recreational and fun, and it will happen. Things happen organically. If people are playing more often and they start going to PDGA sanctioned events more than 1 or 2 a year, then things change. But I would like us all to think, or for me, I'm asking a favor, how can we help that happen so that it evens out a little bit the playing level between the 93% and the 7%? One of the things I think is that we need to demystify a little bit that PDGA is just for professionals, because it's not. And what it does, learning a little bit about the technical part behind it, how to organize an event, how to sanction an event, and now there are great online videos for this. But anybody that is a little bit techie that goes behind, and the support staff at PDGA is fantastic. It is not difficult. It is really easy to score PDGA Live. And all these kinds of things to get more women involved in organizing and in testing it. And I think that it's something that it would really, really help. That said, I think I've said enough. Anybody have anything, any questions, anything that they would like to say?
No, I just wanted to say, like, in France, we are like maybe 500 people, like PDGA members. So it's still like a niche sport. So I think we can still be very proud of what we're doing and what's happening, because it's, I don't know what's the part in the USA of people playing disc golf. Is it big as well? Is it like a niche sport? But in France, we play soccer, we play rugby, like tennis. Disc golf, it's very awkward. People are like, what's disc golf? It's disco, and it's very weird for them, like they don't know. So I think we can still be very, very proud, but why in Finland or Northern Europe it's big? Why not in France? Maybe it's just part of the culture as well, or maybe the landscape or the park, I don't know. It's just, there is the culture, or there is something.
And
the courses, but like why not?
Land availability.
As well, like in Finland, when we went this summer, there was like just trees everywhere, and it's just wow. It's no, but like it's landscape, no houses, nothing. But in France, maybe it's harder to get a course, a public space, to get a park. I used to live in New Zealand, and there are disc golf courses everywhere because it was very easy to build disc golf course. But in France, it's very hard. So I think it's not only like the people are very willing to play and grow the sport. So it's important to say well done to everyone as well, because we're doing a lot. People who are here, people who are not here. But sometimes it's not our fault. It's just the country, the culture. So we can learn from each other. We want to learn why in Finland, Estonia, Sweden, etc. It's that big. We want to make it big as well. But we should we should clap for all of us here today, because we're already doing a lot for the sport.
Oh, I agree.
Well done.
I can just comment that in Finland we are used to throwing things. We throw boots and we throw cell phones, so throwing discs is like a continuity.
Okay, Brian. We are running out of time. It's a very interesting conversation, but we have like 10 minutes left.
I was going to say a couple more things. In terms of the name of the organization goes back to the founder, number 001, Ed Hedrick. And, most of the people who played disc golf in the very, very early days were Frisbee fanatics before they were disc golfers. And a lot of them were amazing Frisbee players. So they were professional level disc golfers. There was a Pro World Championships 8 years before there was an Amateur World Championships. This all has to go about how this organization and this sport started. But the answer to your question, and Calixto can verify because he's a stats guru, is I think worldwide between something like 18 and 20% of PDGA members are pros. In the States, it used to be a larger percentage, but it's gone down to about 17% now. If I remember the stats, where in Europe, it's about 25% still.
Yeah, exact numbers.
Yeah.
USA percentage of pros is 14.8.
Yeah, it's lower
Europe
than it's ever been.
21.
Yeah.
Canada 14.4. Rest of the world 17.3. So
Yeah.
the global number is 16.
Yeah, and so this number in USA and Canada, 14%, that's the lowest it's ever been. It's gone down over the years from when it started. What I said, and I don't think about this often, but I've
with a change in the prices.
Yeah, I've thought about this a bunch of times, but because I'm so ingrained in an organization that's called the Pro Disc Golf Association, but I've made this point. I mean, it goes to the point where one of our catch lines is the Professional Association for All Disc Golfers. But again, that's saying we're called professional because that's how we comport ourselves. But professional in sports means something else. And so I would argue, I go back to my previous point about the name can be intimidating to some. And Players Disc Golf Association, given we are a players association, is, in my opinion, over the longer term, a more appropriate name. It takes some work to change it, but you still got the same acronym, which is, more people know PDGA by PDGA than what the long name of PDGA is. Another thing is, first of all, in places like in Scandinavia has a lot of land and a small, thin population. So it is way, way easier because our sport needs a lot of land. And land is expensive, especially where it is intensely used and has been for millennia, which is the case in countries like France, nowhere in the world perhaps more so than Switzerland. And Holland as well is another small country with only a few courses because the land is so intensely used that it's hard to get a piece of land. We use acres in North America. A small course that uses 10 or 15 acres is a huge piece of land in Switzerland or Holland or places like that.
Yeah. In France, the population density is 124 inhabitants per square kilometer.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, it's 521 inhabitants per square kilometers.
Yeah.
And in Finland, it's 18 inhabitants per square kilometer.
Exactly. So a couple of other things. Part of the reason that in these big established countries like the US, like Finland, like Sweden, that it is this 93 to 7% ratio is the evolution of the sport. But there are other opportunities to change that. One is these new countries that we are getting involved with, Serbia, Greece, these places which haven't really started yet. You have an opportunity to manipulate the development of that in a much more female-oriented direction. And another opportunity, I think, is universities, because universities have big pieces of land in many cases. They're generally more or less 50-50. You're encouraged to be social. There's lots of intramural sports that are played just for fun between teams in the university environment. So the university courses, and this is, for example, what's happened at the big university in Uganda where disc golf has been introduced. There are tons of women playing there. Part of it is the man who's in charge of it is doing a great job of getting women involved. Part of it is that this is a sports-oriented university, and so now there's a new sport that's come in, and the students who are there are more sports-oriented than the general population. When you're in university as well, that's probably when you're in your recreational climax or height of your life. It's before your family, before your job, and so you have more time to recreate. And so I think universities offer a big opportunity. Those are the points I wanted to make.
Last thing I'll say, I promise. But we talk a lot about programs and we talk a lot about strategies that we're going on right here, which is incredibly important. But I bet you a majority of us learned how to play disc golf because an individual invested time in us to teach us how to play. And one way that we could double the number of women that are playing disc golf is if each woman disc golfer were to invest the time to take somebody out to a course, give them a disc, show them the game. Not everyone will stick, but that's how most people learn how to play the game. So I would challenge everybody in here, male or female, to take the time to share disc golf with someone one-on-one. We learned how to play because an individual invested some time in Noemi and I at the same time. We're very fortunate. We learned how to play disc golf at the exact same time. And so we didn't have to go through the whole, I want to date a disc golfer, or I want to, all that stuff that goes on. But that's where a lot of the magic is, where we as individuals just can invest in somebody.
I think that's a really good point. I also think that to grow on what was said here about how everybody's already doing a lot, all the people here are already doing a lot and deserve all kinds of gratitude from that point of view. I actually think that what Doug was saying is what Brian was saying is really important with the universities, but also in little city parks, because like in France and Portugal, there's just not that much usable space. It's a lot of mountains and a lot of rocks, and small city parks with just even 3 baskets or 6 baskets are great for the really young, because parents don't need to take them to the park. They can walk there or bike there and play, and for the really old, because it keeps them active. And so I think little city parks are really a really, really good thing that you can just walk to, and there's a lot of population around. Calixto.
I have the microphone here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Just wanted to share my story, how I got her involved. It was mid-December. We had snow about 20-30 centimeters, and it was dark. Well, it wasn't dark when we got, because it was weekend. But anyway, I got her to play, and she's there still playing.
I have one last point that I would like to mention from the question from the internet. Well, I would like to link it with our programs that we were saying, so that we have at PDGA Europe, we have the PDGA Europe Development Grant Program, which is money to build courses, basically. In the northern countries, they have more than enough courses, so they use it for schools, etc. We have the PDGA Competition Grant Program, which is a fund that is, the head is Mathieu Ver, which is having problems with the flight planes. He will arrive tomorrow. But this is extra money for big competitions that want to grow and become a DGPT event, but also for competitions that are female-oriented, masters-oriented. So if you have some plans to say, hey, we want to do some kind of French female festival, whatever, count on that. You can apply at any time. And the third grants program is the communication support program. We have almost 100 content creators in Europe that we are supporting one way or another, from the communication to direct advertising. For example, we are sponsoring that Talk Birdie to Me female podcast that I encourage you to subscribe to. And for example, I feel that it's not only competition, it's everything that is around the sport. And that conversation about disc golf, that feeling of behaving to a community. When you think on football, the actual match is 90 minutes, and they spend 5 days talking about football. So the actual game is just part of that. So, I mean, on a besoin d'un podcast français. Si vous avez une belle idée et vous voulez commencer, on peut vous donner la communication, le support, de quelques d'argent pour commencer ça, no? So the idea is, if you want to create community, it's not only playing, it's also sharing the experience via new ways, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe a podcast, whatever, and you can count on us for sponsoring and for giving technical support. Oh my God, this will happen to all of us. Okay.
You want to say something? Nothing more. Maybe
we should already think about closing. We are going to have a 2-hour now Pinchos tapas route, and we will have plenty of opportunities to keep on talking, maybe off the record.
I would like actually
I
a
would like
picture of
to-
everybody that's here. Calixto, did you want to take a picture?
I already took one on the beginning, which looks nice, but we can make another
Oh
one.
no,
maybe
that's fine. That's good
fine.
enough. I would also like to ask everyone that's here and that's competing tomorrow to wear their shirt if they can. If you can't because there was some problem with the sizes, don't worry about it. It's okay. But let's try and wear the people that are okay with it so that we can take a picture tomorrow at the beginning of the event. We will be meeting on hole 1 at 9:15. I believe that that's on the schedule. And then we will see how long we need to speak for and take away questions. And then we will give it enough time that people can warm up afterwards as well. So don't worry too much. It's only one round tomorrow. It takes about 2 hours. So we'll be done at 1 o'clock the latest. And then at 4 o'clock, there's the clinic. Besides that, I think we're going to be out tonight. We're going out for a walk. I have to put my computer upstairs. If anybody needs to go upstairs, whoever's staying here to get their jackets or anything.
We can meet in maybe 10 minutes in the lobby.
In 10 minutes. And where would you like to meet, Calixto? In front of the
Maybe
building?
here in the hotel lobby.
Yeah, it's not too many of us in the lobby. Maybe we meet.
Or maybe that right there in the
Right
front,
outside.
in the door,
Right
in the
outside.
main
Okay,
door.
perfect.
Okay, 10
Yes.
minutes. Okay.
10 minutes.
Thank you very much, and a big applause.